What does it actually mean to be good with money? You've probably heard it your whole life. It sounds like a compliment, a goal, even a character trait. But dig into it for 5 seconds, and it starts to fall apart. Are we talking about someone who budgets down to the cent? Someone who never shops impulsively? Someone who invests, saves, avoids debt, never forgets a bill, and retires early? Sounds ideal. Also sounds fictional. In reality, this phrase, good with money, is a vague label built on moving goalposts. For some, it means living below your means. For others, it means maximizing every opportunity to grow wealth. For someone else, it might mean simply staying afloat. But when you believe there's a correct way to be good with money, you start trying to perform. You build an identity around discipline. You try to hit every rule. You avoid anything that looks like failure, not because it hurts your finances, but because it hurts your self-image. It's not about behavior anymore, it's about belonging to this imaginary club of people who have their shit together. This is where people start hiding their money problems. They stop asking for help. They quietly panic over bills they don't understand. They feel ashamed that they haven't started investing, or that they dipped into savings, or that they bought something unnecessary during a hard week. The idea of being good becomes a performance, not a process. Money is not a moral scoreboard. It's a tool. It's a relationship. It's a system you're learning to navigate, often with zero formal education, under constant pressure, and in the middle of your actual complicated life. You don't need to be good with money. You need to be honest with it. You need to be present. You need space to be human, and still move forward anyway. Wanting to be good with money seems reasonable. It feels like a goal, something to strive toward. But in practice, the label becomes a trap, and most people don't even realize it. The moment you decide this is your new identity, something subtle shifts. It's no longer just about your actions. It becomes about your worth, your ability to follow the budget, your ability to say no to spending, your ability to do things right. Every choice becomes a reflection of who you are, not just what you did. You make one late payment, and it's not "I forgot." It's "I messed up." You go over budget one weekend, and it's not "adjust and move on." It's "I have no discipline." You buy something for comfort, and suddenly it's "I'm sabotaging myself." The shame spiral kicks in, and everything that once felt like progress turns into evidence that you've failed again. And this is where the real damage happens. Not with your money, but with your mindset. Because when perfection becomes the standard, consistency dies fast. The moment you break the image, even a little, the pressure becomes too heavy. You ghost your budgeting app. You stop checking your balance. You mentally label yourself bad with money all over again. It's all or nothing thinking. You're either crushing it or crashing, no in between. And when the label is what you care about most, you don't leave space for being in progress. You only care about being perceived as together. But the truth is, being responsible with money isn't about avoiding every mistake. It's about building a system that can absorb mistakes and keep going. You're not a robot, you're a human. And humans mess up, especially with something as emotionally loaded and complex as money. You don't need another identity to protect. You need permission to figure it out while still participating fully in your own financial life.
Shame is the quiet engine behind most financial avoidance. It doesn't show up loud, it shows up subtle. A sinking feeling when you check your balance, a knot in your stomach when a bill hits your inbox, a wave of guilt for something you bought weeks ago that you don't even enjoy anymore. Shame doesn't motivate, it paralyzes, and yet it's built into the way most people try to fix their money. They make a mistake, then punish themselves for it. They tell themselves it's their fault, that they're lazy, impulsive, irresponsible, that they should know better. And the more they say it, the deeper they sink. They start associating money with failure. Not just failed outcomes, but failure as a person. I'm bad with this. I'll never get ahead. I always mess it up eventually. And when you believe that, you stop trying. You avoid the very things that could help you heal. Tracking, reviewing, planning, asking for help. Not because you don't want to improve, but because you can't stand the feeling that comes with looking. You're not afraid of the numbers. You're afraid of what you've decided those numbers say about you. But here's the thing. No amount of shame will ever balance your budget. It won't undo a spending habit. It won't pay off debt. All it will do is make you afraid to engage with your own life. Progress with money comes from clarity, not punishment. From curiosity, not self-blame. You don't need to be harder on yourself. You need to be more honest with yourself, in a way that keeps you coming back. If your financial plan depends on never messing up again, it's already broken. A real plan makes room for missteps. It assumes you're human. It stays kind enough for you to stick with it, even when it's uncomfortable.
If you only listened to social media, you'd think financial success looks clean, linear, and color-coded. Budgets that balance perfectly. Sinking funds for every scenario. Emergency savings already full. Auto investments every month. Zero emotional spending. Smooth progress from struggling to stable. But in real life, it's nowhere near that tidy. Real financial progress is inconsistent. It's repetitive. It often looks like making the same mistake twice and learning a little more the second time. It looks like saving for 3 months, then dipping into that savings to survive a tough one. It looks like over-budgeting, under-planning, getting overwhelmed, starting over. It's trying a system that works great for someone else and realizing it doesn't fit your life at all. It's deciding to track every dollar, then dropping it on day 4 because you're mentally fried. It's paying off a credit card, then using it again in an emergency because you didn't have cash. It's setting goals that feel exciting on paper and oppressive 2 weeks later. This isn't failure. This is the reality of building a relationship with money from scratch while the rest of your life keeps happening. It's not clean because life isn't clean. Rent goes up. Plans fall apart. Your brain gets tired. Your job doesn't pay enough. You're working with imperfect tools and no formal training. And you're doing it while carrying emotional baggage no one sees. Progress is still happening, even if it doesn't look like a Pinterest chart. It's in the fact that you came back after avoiding your balance for a week, that you paused before buying something you used to swipe for automatically, that you caught a fee early, that you forgave yourself instead of quitting completely. None of that looks shiny, but it's the kind of progress that lasts. You don't need a system that makes you look together. You need one that keeps you moving, even when you're a mess. There's a massive difference between being good with money and being aware of your money, but most people never get taught the difference. Good sounds like perfection, like control, like doing everything right all the time. Awareness? That's something else entirely. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about noticing what's happening without flinching. Being aware means you can tell when something feels off. You catch when your spending jumps before it becomes a crisis. You feel the shift when your habits slide. You see the moment you're reaching for your wallet out of stress, and you pause. That pause, that's everything. You don't have to cancel the purchase. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to notice and let that noticing give you a choice. Because most financial damage doesn't come from giant disasters. It comes from autopilot, from not knowing where your money is going, from not checking, not questioning, not adjusting. And that's not because you're lazy. It's because your life is full and your mind is overloaded, and your money systems, if you have any, weren't built to help you think clearly. But awareness can be simple. It can be a 5-minute check-in once a week. It can be writing down everything you spend for 3 days, not to judge, just to see. It can be opening your bank app without fear and saying, okay, what's real today? You don't have to optimize every dollar. You just have to look at it. That shift, from performing goodness to practicing presence, is what creates change. No shame, no gold stars, just clarity. And clarity builds consistency. You don't need to be a model budgeter. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to stay in the room with your own financial reality and keep looking. The real problem with trying to be good with money is that it turns the whole thing into a performance, something public, something that can be judged. You start doing it for the image, not for yourself. You want to look responsible, look like you figured it out, look like the kind of person who's got it together. And that means the moment something goes wrong, you don't just feel the financial impact. You feel shame for not matching the role you built. But money isn't about your reputation. It's about your relationship with reality. You don't need to look impressive. You need to feel connected. Because the people who build healthy financial lives over time, they aren't chasing approval. They're building habits that make sense for them. They mess up. They adjust. They return. They keep the connection alive, even when it's frustrating, even when it's unclear, even when they'd rather look away. They build a relationship. And relationships aren't about being flawless. They're about being honest. They grow through showing up, not performing. You can't build stability on top of fear. You can't build clarity on top of shame. You can't build sustainability while trying to impress imaginary critics. You build it by being where you are, really being there, and choosing again. You don't need to become someone who's good with money. You just need to become someone who's in an actual relationship with their money. Present, curious, sometimes tired, sometimes motivated, always human. That's more powerful than any label, and it's more honest than any system that relies on guilt. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to stay connected long enough to let the truth help you change. If this video made something click for you, consider subscribing. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one, and leave a comment. Even just a thanks or your own story. I read everything.